Philadelphia, a city built on grit, determination, and the unrelenting spirit of the underdog. But what happens when the very foundation of that spirit begins to crumble? What happens when the green and silver wings that once soared over the NFL landscape start to fall in a tailspin so violent, so sudden, that even the most loyal fans in the world start to turn their backs? We are witnessing something unprecedented in the city of brotherly love, a collapse that defies logic, the losing streak that has left analysts baffled and the locker room in a state of supposed anarchy. But beneath the surface of these devastating losses, something far more calculated was brewing. Today, we are peeling back the curtain on what might be the most daring, high-stakes psychological gamble in the history of the modern NFL. Is it possible that the Philadelphia Eagles didn't just lose those games? Is it possible that they were executing a hidden strategy to reset the very DNA of the franchise? We are diving deep into the Philadelphia Eagles' secret plan that turned a catastrophic crisis into their ultimate trump card. To understand where we are going, we have to look at where we came from. The Philadelphia Eagles have always been a team defined by their resilience. From the miracle of the New Meadowlands to the legendary Super Bowl LIE victory with Nick Foles, this franchise thrives on being counted out. However, the 2024 season felt different. Coming off a late-season collapse in 2023 that saw them lose 5 of their final 6 games, the pressure was at an all-time high. The front office made massive moves, bringing in superstar running back Saquon Barkley from their division rival, the New York Giants, and securing Jalen Hurts with a contract worth over $250 million. The expectations weren't just for a winning season, they were for a Lombardi trophy. But then, the unthinkable happened. The season began to fracture. The first crack in the armor appeared during a high-stakes matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. The Eagles came out swinging, building a dominant 21-0 lead. The stadium was rocking, the offense was clicking, and it looked like Philadelphia was finally going to exert its dominance over the NFC East. But then, the momentum shifted. A fumble here, a missed assignment there, and suddenly the lead evaporated. The Cowboys roared back to win 24-21. It wasn't just a loss. It was a psychological blow that resonated throughout the entire city. The media was ruthless. How do you blow a 3-touchdown lead against your biggest rival? Analysts pointed to coaching, others blamed the secondary, but the silence from the locker room was the most deafening part of it all. Then came the Black Friday of the Eagles season. Facing a struggling Chicago Bears team, a game that should have been a get-right opportunity turned into a nightmare. The Eagles looked sluggish, uninspired, and completely out of sync. A 24-15 defeat left the fan base in a state of shock. The offensive line, usually the gold standard of the NFL, was giving up pressures at an alarming rate. Jalen Hurts looked hesitant in the pocket. The rushing attack, despite having Barkley, was non-existent. The city of Philadelphia was officially in panic mode. But the bottom hadn't even been reached yet. That happened in a heartbreaking overtime loss to the Los Angeles Chargers. 3 straight losses. The Eagles, once considered the titans of the NFC, were now being discussed as the biggest disappointment in professional sports. The trade rumors started circulating. People were calling for Nick Sirianni's job. The salary cap implications were being analyzed by every financial expert on sports television, discussing how the Eagles' massive investments in Hurts, Barkley, and A.J. Brown would handicap the franchise for years if this was the new normal. The locker room culture was under a microscope. Was there a rift between the veterans and the young stars? Was the pressure of the Philadelphia spotlight too much for this group? This is where the story takes a turn that no one saw coming. While the world was busy writing the Eagles' obituary, something was happening behind closed doors at the NovaCare complex. Saquon Barkley, the man who had been the centerpiece of the offseason hype, finally broke the silence. In a revealed quote that has sent shockwaves through the league, Barkley stated, "A gente se perdeu em coisas que não importam. A única coisa que importa é vencer." Translated for the American audience, he was saying that the team had become obsessed with the noise, the statistics, the individual accolades, and the brand of being the Eagles, rather than the raw, fundamental essence of football. This was the moment of the Great Reset. The coaching staff and the veteran leaders realized that the only way to climb out of the hole was to strip everything back to the basics. They used the 3-game losing streak as a crucible. They didn't panic, they recalibrated.
they stopped listening to the outside noise and started focusing on the secret plan, a complete mental and tactical overhaul. The results of this secret recalibration were revealed in spectacular fashion against the Las Vegas Raiders. The world expected a close, gritty game. Instead, they got a masterclass in professional football. The Eagles didn't just win, they annihilated the Raiders 31-0, a complete shutout. The defense, which had been criticized for weeks, played with a ferocious ferocity we hadn't seen all season. The offense was surgical. Barkley ran with a purpose that looked like he was trying to break the stadium turf. But more importantly, the team looked unified. They weren't playing for the highlight reels anymore. They were playing for each other. This wasn't a fluke. This was the execution of a team that had used adversity as a weapon. They allowed the crisis to weed out the distractions. By the time they stepped onto the field against the Raiders, they were a different team entirely. The secret plan was simple. Use the losses to identify every single weakness, ignore the public outcry, and rebuild the internal culture from the ground up. Strategically, the Eagles shifted their defensive philosophy. They moved away from complex blitz packages that were leaving their corners on islands and returned to a more disciplined gap-sound front seven. Offensively, they simplified the read option, allowing Jalen Hurts to play faster and more instinctively. The statistical turnaround was staggering. In the Raiders game, the Eagles' success rate on third down skyrocketed to 65% compared to a miserable 30% during the losing streak. The financial impact of this turnaround cannot be overstated. Had the Eagles continued to spiral, the pressure on the front office to make drastic, potentially damaging roster moves would have been immense. Instead, the secret plan stabilized the franchise's value and solidified the leadership standing. It also sent a message to the rest of the NFL. Do not mistake a temporary stumble for a permanent fall. The ripple effects of this comeback are being felt in every betting house from Las Vegas to Atlantic City. The Eagles' odds to win the NFC have surged back to the top. But more than the numbers, it's the what-if scenarios that are fascinating. What if the Eagles hadn't lost those 3 games? Would they have ever found this level of internal focus? Many top analysts now argue that those losses were the best thing that could have happened to the team. It provided them with the underdog narrative that this specific city and this specific roster thrive on. Looking forward, the road doesn't get any easier, but the Eagles are now equipped with something they didn't have at the start of the season, a battle-tested identity. The fan reaction has been a total 180-degree turn. The same callers who were demanding trades are now planning parade routes. But the lesson remains. In the NFL, the news you see on the surface is rarely the full story. There is always a plan, always a strategy, and always a secret being kept behind the locker room doors. The Eagles proved that a crisis isn't the end of the road. It's just a detour to greatness. As we look toward the playoffs, one question remains. Who else in the league is hiding a secret plan of their own? The Philadelphia Eagles have shown the world that you can never count out a team that knows how to turn a disaster into a masterstroke. Make sure you stay tuned, because this season is far from over, and the secrets are only going to get deeper. If you want to stay ahead of every trade, every secret meeting, and every tactical shift in the NFL, you need to follow the most reliable sources. Don't let the mainstream media tell you only half the story. Hit that subscribe button and follow Sports Illustrated on Google to ensure you never miss a beat of the real strategy behind the game. The Philadelphia Eagles are back, and the rest of the league should be very, very afraid.